Want the world to change? Let's go back to basics so you can have a strong foundation for being part of the change. To do this, download my free ebook, What It Means to Be Human. Visit humanamplified.com/episodes/097 to claim your copy now. I'm your host, Brandy Fleck, and this is Human Amplified. We're on a mission to revamp society by amplifying your humanity. This week on the show,
my name is Kass Thomas. I am originally from Boston, lived in New York. Currently I'm living in Rome, Italy, and I'm doing this podcast from Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. The first language of communication is really energy. It can never get you wrong. There's nobody that does you better than you. But if you empty your battery, your vibration, all the contribution you would be to other people in the world would no longer be there.
Today on the podcast, we're hearing from Kass Thomas. She's a communication expert, empowerment coach, and best-selling author. Her most recent book is called Dancing with Riches. We had so much fun during this interview. Our hearts connected, and a true philosophical exploration took place as Kass applied what she teaches and coaches to my questions. This episode is all about accessing the limitless potential of who you are and the limitless potential of the experiences you can have if you're open to them and even open to other people. Doing that is a major contribution to society and the world. In other words, we talk about what your limitations really are, getting beyond them, how feeling good is a contribution you make to those around you, and how inclusivity and exclusivity tie in to overcoming limitations so you can feel good. We then go deep into how the universe works, with personal stories from Kass's life about when the universe seemed to intervene because she included herself and others. You'll come away from this episode with an expanded perspective on connection, why it's important to let down your walls, what happens when you do, and how the very nature of communication at its root fits in. At a minimum, this episode will get you thinking. At a maximum, you'll come away from it encouraged to be more open in your life and start taking steps to reach the next level of your potential. For the links mentioned throughout this episode, visit the show notes at humanamplified.com/episodes/097. All right, today we are welcoming Kass Thomas to the show. Welcome to Human Amplified. I'm so excited to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yes, I'm doing great. Lots of change going on, and if I'm not trying to predict what that change is, then sometimes it's not always that comfortable.
Yeah. Okay. We might actually get into change a little bit before we dive into some really deep communication, information, and conversation. I would love for you to introduce yourself to our listeners, a little bit about who you are and what you do.
We have 3 days, right? Yeah. Well, what I have been doing is traveling around the world physically. In these last couple of years, it's been more online. But what I do is I do training and coaching sessions and writing books. And it's all about being an invitation for people to recognize what their unique way of living life is. So it can be business training with my Dancing with Riches workshops and book. It can be about communication with kids, with yourself, with others, with my 7 steps to flawless communication workshops and book. It can be also about connecting with, your body. So many of us have really go into self-judgment, self-doubt, uncomfortability with our bodies. But there is the first language of communication is really energy. And our body is so actively communicating with us. And sometimes we're misinterpreting that. So we don't really have the language for that we understand. However, we know it because it's our unique brand of communication and magic. So it's always an invitation for people to step into their lives and see it, the world from their perspective, that they know that they can not get themselves wrong. You can never get you wrong. There's nobody that does you better than you. And so then they can step up and begin acknowledging some of the talents and abilities that they may not have, recognized as talents. They may have recognized as limitations, but they actually are something that's unique about them. And that allows us to see other people as well in a different way, so that you can then step out and be seen and heard in the world and see and hear others in the world in a very different way, without, very in a genuine way, in an authentic way, and without any expectations or projections. It just really enjoying the uniqueness of each and every one of us. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the being seen and heard and to see and hear. And gosh, I just think that's so important. So I would love to ask you, what do you think the most important thing in life is?
Joy.
Mm.
Yeah. I think the most important thing in life is to recognize what it is that makes your heart sing, that makes you feel warm inside, that brings a smile onto you, that makes you feel connected with you. I think the first step in every area of our lives is being connected to ourselves, you know?
Mm.
And so what is it that does that for you? Some people do singing and or dancing or meditation or sports or running or whatever that is. If we can start each and every day like that, we're not just living life, from one day to the next and going down the road that when life ends, we're actually expressing ourselves in a really different, exuberant, abundant sort of way every day. It's like the first day.
Yeah.
Yeah, if today were the first day or the last day of your life, what would you like to do? And where would you like to be? On the beach? In the water, or, where? With a doggy, with a cat, with your kids, with your mom?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting because circling back to what you said about being human and part of being in this existence is buying into the limitations of this reality. And so I'm connecting that to you saying, "Oh, where do you want to be? Where do you want to, what do you want to be doing and what brings you joy?" But it's like, how do we get past the limitations to go embrace that?
Right. Well, recognizing sometimes, first, can I just say, I love the way you listen
Oh, thanks.
and hear and also put it together. It's your unique way
Thank
of
you.
being, and it's so delightful. So thank
Oh,
you for
I
that.
appreciate that. That's nice.
And sometimes the limitations are predefined destinations that we've had, and that might be, our parents were lawyers, and so we need to go to, and study in law, or medical doctors, or writers, or whatever, as opposed to knowing what I say, what makes your heart sing, what is in line with your vibration. There's so many different ways to say that. What brings you joy? So sometimes a limitation might be a predefined destiny that you have set for yourself, or that others have set for you.
Okay.
And so if you reach that goal in life, right, then what happens? What if you reach, by the time you're 25 or 30, is life over then? So then it's resetting another destination, or just really being bored on this planet. So with the limitations might be anything that you have decided is your ceiling, is your destiny, is your only reason for being here on the planet and in the world. So the being part is that this is a very alive time, right? In life. So many things are showing up. We can't decide and choose every single one of them.
Hmm.
However, if we are looking at something and seeing things that are showing up and choosing things that are actually, like I said, that bring us that joy, that are in line with our joy factor, that actually make us feel at home and at ease, but also don't make us stop, then it's a continual evolution.
Mm.
It's a continuous journey. this life. And a lot of times we have, "Oh, no, I'm not interested in that. That's not interesting to me. I don't even want to look at that." Are you sure? How do you know? It exists. You exist on this in this world. It exists in this world.
Yeah.
Especially if something is so boring to you, you might want to explore it a little bit. What is it that I'm not willing to actually even consider about that?
Oh.
It's so funny. I go to the opera, right? Often. I haven't been in a couple of years, but I go often.
Hmm.
Why? Because I love opera. I love the opera houses, and I love the elegance of the opera. I love music. And so, and I used to work in a hospitality industry in New York, and Ritz Carlton, head concierge. So they used to always invite me to the dress rehearsals at the opera, and it was lovely.
Yeah.
And there, and then I mean, in Venice, I've been to the opera, and I went to Vienna, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go see that opera house. I went to Moscow, and I was like, I have to go see that opera house. I
Yeah.
love jazz. I love all kinds of music, but I wanted to be having a glass of champagne in the opera house in Moscow. So it's not that opera is, interesting to me, but there's so much else around it
Mm.
that's interesting. So the limitation is when we decide something is not our cup of tea.
Okay.
However, we're not willing to enjoy or to explore even a some of the things that are in the environment of that particular thing, but b also to engage with people that perhaps that is their passion in life, because there might be something, if it's something that is a limitation or not interesting to you, there might be someone else who's exploring that could open up a different perspective on that for you.
Okay.
And I went to Sydney in Australia. And I had been there before, and I went with my husband. He's an architect.
Hmm.
He doesn't go to the opera either, but he totally wanted to go to the Sydney Opera House because of the architectural construction of that opera house. So
Yeah.
isn't that funny? So
Yeah.
something that is not necessarily interesting to you. However, what else is there? The construction,
Yeah.
that will bring you joy. And now I know this Italian, I will win. Vincerò, vincerò, vincerò. I always remember that from that opera, that we went
That's
to there.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And this is really powerful stuff. I love this perspective. What was your favorite opera house that you saw?
It was the one in Moscow.
Okay.
Yeah. I get it. Was there? The stairs were amazing coming down. Was it sitting in the opera house? Not necessarily,
Yeah.
but it was the walking down the stairs. It was such an elegance
Mm.
going down those stairs. It was really wonderful. And I did like the Sydney one, but I just remember that in Moscow at the moment.
Okay.
And also, I remember Vienna, that we had said, during the break, we'd like to come and have a glass of champagne. And when we came out on the break, there were so many people, and there was a little table in the corner with a rope around it, and it was for us. There was just a girlfriend of mine. We were like, "Oh my goodness, is this really for us?"
Yeah.
Anyway, so that, I mean, it's just fun. It's just fun. It's the world that people live in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like the way it made you feel was a big part of it. Would you say that's?
That's it. That is it. What is it that gets you? It's a feeling in your body, right? And it's a sensation that goes out beyond. What is the joy factor, right? That if you are feeling good,
Hmm.
then you are actually vibrating out there, and it's a contribution to other people.
Mm.
Because have you ever walked by someone who is feeling bad, or and they're feeling sad, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. Is everything okay? Are you okay?" And you're going down a little bit with them.
Yeah.
But have you walked by someone who's just like, boom, full of joy?
Hmm.
And it's like, wow, I don't know why. I just feel so good now.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of times people think that, oh, if I'm concentrated on making myself feel good, then I'm being, egocentric, egotistic, or whatever. But what contribution, what gift, what can that offer
Yeah.
to others that just might be walking by you on the street?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to shift a little bit now. And
I've never had this conversation with anyone, darling Randy. So I just want to tell you,
really,
I've never, ever had this conversation with anyone. So thank you.
no problem. I love this. And, like none of those questions were planned, but I was like, wow, like this is really cool. So that's awesome. Well, what I want to connect it to is how you said that limitations stem from people deciding that something is not their cup of tea. I think possibly relates to inclusivity and exclusivity. So I see a lot of stuff like, I did my research and online I saw that you're described as a catalyst for multicultural inclusion. So I would love for you to expand on what that means specifically.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, what is not their cup of tea? One of the things in my first book, the 7 steps to flawless communication, the seventh step is establishing true connection, right? And it is about acknowledging that you live here on planet Earth,
Okay.
okay? And so where you live is called your home, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone else here, you have something in common with. And sort of the subline on that is there's so much more that unites us than separates us. So I have actually never felt out of place. And my invitation out that I would love to be is for people to recognize that their home is everyone else's home.
Mm-hmm.
It's this planet. Doesn't matter where you were born, where you grew up, where you're living, where you're working, and thankfully for with the internet we're all around actually. But if you approach your life and anyone you encounter with that confidence, with that genuine clarity about that you share something with them.
Mm-hmm.
You're here. Now, you might meet an alien from Mars, okay, but it's still in the same universe.
Yeah.
So the cultural inclusion is that this world is made up of different waters. There's the Red Sea where I am right now. I haven't really been there before. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
And I've been in Israel. There's the Black Sea. And so when you recognize that your home, no matter where you go, then you never actually feel out of place. And this is this stepping in to the truth and the essence of you. And it's a capacity that I have. So to see the truth of people, even if they don't see it, the truth of who they really are, the human being that they are.
Yeah.
And that when they're trying really hard just to be human, they're actually putting up boundaries. We call it sometimes glass ceilings. It just makes people know what they have to do. But what if you were willing to know who and what you could be
Mm.
in this world, right? That would be such a great adventure for you and engagement with where we live, with this place called home. So the limitation is not ever being willing to, shoot for a star and maybe hit the moon.
Yeah.
Oh well, let's see. What different stars can I see from the moon? I have always had in my life not only different people from different cultures and different languages, different sexual orientations, different professions. My family, my mom and dad, and they never actually were excluding anyone except for my dad. He didn't really like people who were not being honest.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
yeah, but see, that's the thing, though. The difference between him with me, they weren't being honest. But are you not being honest with yourself
Mm.
because you're functioning from those limitations? But the truth of who we are is honest. With if we're able to connect and step into our lives in a different way.
Where does the inclusion come in, though?
The inclusion is including you in your life.
Okay. Oh, being honest with yourself.
Yeah, connecting with you and not faking it. You don't have to fake it till you make it. Sometimes it can be simple as putting your hand on your heart. And the first language is really energy. I mean, even the first sounds start from a vibration. They may not ever break the vibrational mode and come into an audible sound,
Yeah, okay.
but they start with a vibration. And that's the same with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the inclusion is basically the result of not excluding anyone and not excluding you.
Okay.
Okay, so how do we include everyone? By not putting up the walls, the barriers, and excluding others from our lives, right? As a preset. And if we're not doing that, then what we see and who we see arriving is so much clearer to us than if we have put on a mask or a veil that keeps people away. Because not only does it keep people away and exclude others from our and other possibilities, the opera or a new career or a different business, but it also locks us in so that people can't find us.
Mm.
And so many of us are looking for, we might have hopes and dreams. We might be praying to God, Allah, Buddha, Shiva, the angels. We might be, doing meditation and really trying to reach a higher level in our lives. But if you have excluded others and other places in other languages, then you have put up some walls and barriers, and what you've been asking for may not be able to jump over those walls and barriers and find you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. You don't have to travel the world. You don't have to talk to all the people. But if that is really what you are choosing
Mm-hmm.
to be open and receiving and gifting, then what shows up in your world will be continually magic. And for me, that is so much the human amplified reality. It really is. So the title of your podcast for me in itself,
Yeah.
if no one ever listened to it, if they would just read it, it will activate something in them that maybe has been dormant.
Wow. Okay. Listeners, it's time for a quick break. We're talking to Kass Thomas, communication expert, empowerment coach, and best-selling author. She's based in Rome, Italy. Her latest book is Dancing with Riches. I'm your host, Brandy Fleck, and this is Human Amplified. Here at Human Amplified, we're on a mission to revamp society by amplifying your humanity. You're here because that resonates with you. So where do we begin changing the world together? As with any good goal for change, a strong foundation to start from sets you up for success. That's what my free ebook, What It Means to Be Human, is all about. To go back to the basics and build your foundation, you'll want to explore what your existence means, what your humanity means, what it means in relation to other humans, and how that fits in with the rest of our world. So my free ebook helps you have fun while you do that, guiding you through the various nuances of our humanity based on the answers of 3 seasons worth of our podcast guests, with trends and themes explained for you in a beautiful PDF you can read on any device. It goes deep so you can go deep. You might be surprised at what you discover about yourself, and perhaps your mindset will even expand. What a beautiful contribution to society. Get your free copy of What It Means to Be Human at humanamplified.com/episodes/097. Now, back to the show. We're talking to the wonderful Kass Thomas, communication expert, empowerment coach, and author of Dancing with Riches. Well, I love how you brought up that communication in its essence starts with a vibration. And then you tied that back around to inclusivity and including yourself. And by including yourself, I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. By including yourself, you end up dropping the walls and becoming more open, so then you can include more of the world, your home, and the people around you. Is that
Yes, absolutely. Not only include it is one perspective, and access it
access?
is another. Yeah, access it.
Oh,
If you are, you can include them. It doesn't mean you have to bring it all in. Like I always use this example of the cobra snake, right?
mhm.
Have you seen one or a picture of one before?
A picture of one.
Got these colors, and their neck comes up and it goes out, and there's they're amazing. Now, yes, they're a bit poisonous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so what does that mean? You don't ever want to see one? You don't want to acknowledge their potency and capacity,
Hmm.
or are you willing actually to acknowledge, wow, they are amazingly beautiful. I may not want to bring them into my car or bring them into my home, but I would love to keep my window up maybe and ride by and look at how gorgeous they are.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this brings me to sometimes when you meet people, you don't always connect right away. So when that happens, if you're trying to be inclusive and you're trying to be open, and as I think, you just alluded to, sometimes you need to set boundaries, but also you need to experience, this existence and the beauty of what's there. What's next? Like, should you pursue a relationship with that person you don't connect with or try to build a connection? What do you do?
Well, first of all, I didn't say anything about setting boundaries. I said that sometimes we do set boundaries, right?
Okay.
If we are willing to not set boundaries,
Mm.
right? And it's not always easy for some people because they get overwhelmed. And if anyone's ever listening to this and you get overwhelmed, it probably means that you have a capacity to pick up on so many things, right?
Hmm.
And just because, and to have, this awareness about so many things. And just please know, I just want to say this, that just because you're aware of something doesn't mean you have to do something about it, okay?
Okay.
Because sometimes that's what gets us overwhelmed because we feel like, oh my goodness, I have to do something, right? Like, for example, you've got an awareness, hey, this is not really feeling good, this conversation I'm having or this connection I'm having with this person. Doesn't mean you have to do something. You have to do something to make it work. You do not have to do something to make it work.
Okay.
Because, and this is where we start with the exclusion, with this human limitations reality. I either have to make it work or I have to exclude it. No, just in recognition. Wow, this is not feeling that great. And you don't put up any walls or any boundaries. And it may be them that say, hey, why aren't they reacting to me like everybody else does when I'm being such a jerk? Let me see if I can give them a cup of tea. It might be something that is an invitation for them,
Okay.
to see that I'm not excluding you. I'm not liking the way you're talking to me. It's not really working for me,
Yeah.
but I'm not excluding you. If you want to have a conversation, let me know and then ring a bell.
Yeah. It's funny that you said ring a bell when it rang. So,
Okay. Yeah.
okay. Okay. Well, has there ever been a time when you didn't do anything about something? So, like, say you met someone you didn't connect with and you just let it be, but then the universe pushed you in one direction or the other and things just sort of worked out how you didn't expect?
Yeah, I mean that's I really like that question, that meeting up with someone, being with someone, and it not really working out, and then it shows up in a different way. So many times, probably a little more. I've got a funny one though.
Okay.
It was very quick. It was so funny. I was organizing a workshop in Rome, an Access Consciousness workshop with Dr. Dane here. I was not only organizing it, I was translating
Okay.
from English to Italian, right? And a woman came in from Sweden, and she got so upset with me. And, she said, I think we were out to lunch and she was trying to keep a conversation going. I said, look, we really need to get back to the class. And when we got back to the class, she was upset with me and she was yelling at me. And I was looking at her and I was like, I'm saying to myself, I really don't have time to actually respond because I've got to get back on stage and translate. This was not what I was thinking, but this is why she was looking and yelling, and I was just standing there. And I said, I'm really sorry. And then I had to go.
Mhm.
And when I finished that day, she came up to me and she was laughing. She said, "Oh, I am just so amazing. I'm so sorry that I was yelling at you. It was great. You didn't go into any reaction, you know?" And I thought to myself, well, if I hadn't been so busy, I might have gone into reaction,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I just didn't have time to go into reaction and then go up on a stage and be all, in reaction mode.
Yeah.
So I was really grateful for that. I just was like, I really can't stay here and do this. And it's something actually that I invite people to. That sometimes people go into judgment of you. Sometimes people are contrasting with you, and if we get stuck there, how much time do we spend, even when we're no longer with them, having these imaginary conversations? If I see them again, you know what I'm going to say to them? I'm going to say this and this and this and that. How much time do we spend, right,
Mhm.
living through that, reality? And then it may not ever show up.
Yeah.
You might not ever run to them again, or they might, like this woman did, come up and say, you know what, I'm over that. And how much time did you spend instead of engaging in future possibilities, future creations, enjoying the moment that you're in? How much time did you spend revisiting the past? So what I, invite people to do is, if someone is actually, you know, criticizing you about something in the past, trying to bring you down, you can say to them, you know what, I'm really sorry about this. I will, I have something to do. I have to go and take care of something. And I'll come back though, and we can have this conversation.
Mm.
And as you walk away, you say to yourself, maybe, and maybe not, but you have not excluded them, but you're not excluding yourself.
Mm.
And you're not excluding your continuity of moving forward, and there's so much in our lives that we stop and we stay back to handle. But if we and sometimes that's required, you might have to wash your car, you might have to, give your family or something some time. But please, please don't ever disconnect from you, because if something drains you, right, you have certainly perhaps been a contribution to that woman I just mentioned or to whomever you're staying with.
Mhm.
But if you empty your battery, your vibration, all the contribution you would be to other people in the world would no longer be there. You know,
Yeah.
it would no longer be there. And so please, this is just what I know that this 3 steps, I do this 3 steps to step in to your life, right? And then step up. See others, recognize your talents, recognize their talents, and then step out so that you will never make you wrong.
Yeah.
You know? Might just want to choose something different the next time, but you cannot get you wrong. And everything that we have done, everything, all of those things have really made us who we are today.
Mhm.
I did work with a guy once. He was the head of a non. We did television festivals, and I don't think he liked me. I was like, I don't think he liked me.
Okay.
And I was like, I couldn't figure out why he didn't like me. I was doing a great job. I was handling Asia, Africa, and the Middle East, all those films that we were, television films and directors that we were bringing in for the festival and stuff. And I said, well, maybe he's going to go away. And everyone was like, Kass, we know you're always working with questions, and you work with questions, but he is like the head of the nonprofit. He's not going to go away. I said, well, what else is possible? That's a question I like. What else? How does it get any better? 2 years later, it was discovered that he was actually doing something not necessarily legal. He was taken out,
Okay.
you know? And
Yeah.
so sometimes it may not be obvious to you why there is a conflict,
Yeah.
but you don't have to exclude him. I never excluded him. We even went to New York to do a presentation, and we went jogging in Central Park together. Italian, yeah. But what you know may not be in your human mind, but it is definitely in your human being knowledge and awareness.
Yeah.
And so you might not have to do something specific, but you don't have to, like you were asking, make it work with someone. If there's not an agreement, if there's not a cohesive engagement with them, there might be a reason that's beyond your, cognitive awareness. Does that make sense?
I think it does. And when you were jogging with him and not excluding him, how did you also not exclude yourself? Like, were there like tangible things that you did not to exclude yourself when everything wasn't comfortable?
Well, I got to tell you, you were so psychic. I didn't remember. I just thought, hey, that's great. We'll go jogging together. I love Central Park. I used to live in New York, right? So I was going back to New York. I jogged more than I had ever jogged in my life. I'm not a jogger. I play
Okay.
tennis. I'm not a jogger. My body was so sore after that long jogging. We jogged for like an hour.
Oh my
And I,
gosh.
I really enjoyed it. I had a great time jogging. But then when I got back, my body was like, did we really want to jog for an hour?
Yeah.
I was enjoying the engagement with him, but also with the park and being together without the business thing that we had been working with or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was the most fun I had ever had with him.
Okay. Okay.
And yet, yes, I was excluding a little bit the fact that I'm not a jogger. I was
Okay.
like, I don't know, but it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah, you were open to it, I
Yeah.
suppose, and then you
Yeah.
learned something about
Exactly.
yourself.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
you don't win, you don't lose. You either win or you learn something, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I went into this conversation thinking, man, we're going to talk a lot about communication and everything. And I really like the path that we took instead, but I feel like it's all related to communication. Can you connect the dots back for us about how it's all related?
Right. I adore you. I just have to say that. Sorry. No, that I adore you. I'm sorry that I said it. Yes, everything starts with communication. Communication is part of everything. And our communication with ourselves, with our unique way of being, and our acknowledgement of that. Because I've, for example, said a couple of things to you a couple of times. I don't know if you'll ever remember them.
Mhm.
Acknowledging your uniqueness, and your greatness. So people do see it in us. Do we see it in ourselves? So that communication with ourselves, not only with our body physically, and this is my invitation always, put your hand on your heart, feel your heart beat, put it on your hand on your pulse, feel what your vibration is, and that gives you a presence with you, that a lot of times we think we have to do something to get that presence with us, but it can be so fast. But this communication with your body, what you identified as a pain, maybe your body just signaling to you, hey, there's an earthquake going on somewhere, or, a lot of people get cramps in their knees when it's going to rain or something,
Mhm.
we're connected with nature in that way. But also recognizing when in business we call it your unique selling points, and I call it in communication your unique brand of magic,
Mm.
you know?
Mhm.
So it starts with you, and then disconnecting from who you are not, who you think you are, right? So that, the masks and the veils and the barriers, so that you can reconnect not only with yourself and have a direct line of reconnecting when you feel overwhelmed or collapsed or, invaded or judged or whatever. You can always get back to you, but you also, with so much ease, can see other people from different perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes someone might be judging you or might be criticizing you, but that might be the only way they know how to communicate.
Yeah.
I remember once my husband was saying to me, business, you need to do this in your business. You need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do that. And you change this. And I'm like, finally, I was like, no, I'm not going to change that. He said, hey, wait a second. 1 second. That's just the way I talk. You obviously have success. You know what to do. I'm just giving you some suggestions,
Yeah.
How much are we hearing from people in one way, right?
Mm-hmm.
That if we're not connected with ourselves, if we're not in communication with ourselves, we may be receiving it as in a different way than they actually intended.
Okay.
So reconnecting with that genuine, authentic version of you, then you never are feeling wrong about who you are.
Okay.
You know?
Seems like there would be a healing in that. Is communication, I mean, could it even be considered a healing modality?
I'm not going to say what I want to say right now.
What do you, I want to know. I want to know.
I think I love you.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the first language we all speak it, right? Which is energy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are willing to hear the language of your body, hear the language of your being, your human being,
Mm-hmm.
and hear the language in the silence between the words that others are sharing with you. One, communication is not just about words, it's not just about images, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is really the way you are engaging, including, and not excluding yourself from this world and not excluding others from your world, even if they exclude you,
Okay.
you know? Yeah.
And that can be really hard. That can be hard.
It can absolutely be hard if that's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not doing it, it creates so much ease in your world. And just remember the cobra, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cobra, you can't say the cobra, hi, I really like cobras. Could you not please sting me and bite me and like poison me, please?
Yeah. Yeah.
The cobra's like, I'm sorry, that's just what I do. That's my thing, man. And so, okay, I won't exclude you, but I'm not gonna let you in my car, okay? You know,
Yeah.
it's different. It's different, yeah. And so, what is it? That I don't really want to jump out of planes with parachutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really something that I necessarily want to do, but I won't exclude heights, and I won't exclude people who do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just different. Yeah. And so the healing of communication is if you're willing to not understand cognitively what is being transmitted to you by others. If you're not wanting or needing to understand it and categorize it and define it, and take a linear path on that, because that always will make you go right back to the same place you start every time.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're willing, actually, in your communication with others to include you, then what shows up is something that is really beyond the human limitations. It is something that is included in the human being vibration on this planet, and we're a contribution to that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Kass, I've loved this conversation. This has been amazing. And I definitely don't want to end it before we get a chance to talk about your book, Dancing with Riches. That's your latest book, but you mentioned that it's business. Can you just tell us a little bit about what your book is about and where people can find it?
Absolutely. The book came out in English 2021. In French, it came out first, believe it or not.
Okay.
And it's basically about recognizing what our communication, our relationship is in different areas of our life, what our experiences have been thus far, and what we have maybe identified as a limitation, which is actually a capacity. So it's an invitation. There's 6 chapters. It talks about our relationship with ourselves. Chapter 1, 2 about relationship with our body, some of the judgments and stuff that we've had about that. Chapter 3, our relationships with others. Chapter 4, our relationship with money.
Okay.
Chapter 5, our relationship with business, our interaction with business, how the different businesses have shown up in our life. And chapter 6 is just really short. It's just about living life with a purpose or living life purposefully. So living life with a purpose, like I was talking about the goals and having a purpose in life, and once you satisfy that, as opposed to living life purposefully, that is a continuity of engagement. And I do workshops with Dancing with Riches that are about using that projects as an object that then we acknowledge our capacities to grow our businesses, to start a business, to work on a project in a way that brings us joy,
Okay.
in a way that allows us to be connected with ourselves, in a way that allows us to create more in our lives, have fun, and make money in it. So Dancing with Riches is the name of the book. It's not just about money. It is about the wealth, the talents, that not only the talents and abilities you have, because that's stuff you know how to do, but the resonance that you are. That is a gift to this world, and recognizing what your niches are,
Okay.
so that you can share those with the world. So it's a how-to book, and I use lots of examples of my life and my situation, different countries, different relationships, different businesses. Have had many, and then show people, if whatever shows up for you, here are some tools using being in step with the energy of change, using the tools of access consciousness, which are questions,
Okay.
to get you more aware of what are the riches in your life.
Amazing. So, guys, I will put the link to find that in the show notes of this episode. So make sure you go check that out. Where else can people find you? Do you have websites or social media accounts they can go follow?
Absolutely. Well, I have this 3steps.us website, which I really am enjoying this program, different pillars of our lives that we engage with. And of course, the dancingwithriches.us landing page. And I also have kassthomas.com, where you can find all of that on there. And my first book, the 7 Steps program, I have teachers. I'd love you to come and be a teacher with that. The magic, the healing. So what you said, yeah, I
Yeah.
really want to listen to it again. So a teacher's program with that 7steps.us. So people can find me on The Art of Being Kass, on Facebook, on Instagram, Being Kass, on YouTube channel, and I'm all over.
Okay.
And LinkedIn, Kass Thomas, and Twitter, and what else? All those things, yeah. And around the world.
Yeah. Okay.
And all roads lead to Rome, my dear. You can
Yeah.
come and visit us at our bed and breakfast, and we'll make you a lovely dinner.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Pasta. Do you like pasta?
I love pasta. And oh, yes, I have to ask you, how do you make the best pasta ever? Because we were talking about this before we were recording. So,
Let me just say, this is just something. First of all, when you're boiling the pasta,
uh-huh.
before you boil the pasta, you put some salt in the water.
Okay.
Okay? And then when you drain the pasta, you're making the sauce on the side, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Usually you put a little olive oil, you might put either onions, or you might put a little bit of garlic and a tomato sauce or whatever. And once that is ready, once you've drained the pasta, put that pasta in the pan with the sauce.
Okay.
heat up the sauce again and mix the pasta with the sauce.
Okay.
It's delicious.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well,
And you know how much salt to add to the sauce. Once you just taste if it's spaghetti, just taste the spaghetti, see if you put too much salt in the water while it was boiling. So then you know how to adjust the salt that you're putting in the sauce.
okay. It's so funny. Before we got on this call, I was on a call with another person talking about my aunt's spaghetti dinner. So it's just a funny little coincidence or synchronicity.
Yes, and there are no communication, darling, in this reality. There are no coincidences. Why did I mention pasta to you?
I know.
That's not excluding anything that's in your vibe, but you're vibing. I picked it up. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, anyway, so you have a bed and breakfast in Rome?
Absolutely. Bellino Corbelli.
Ah.
Yes, bellinocorbelli.it. Yeah, and it's I mean my name's Kass Thomas, but it would be Kass Thomas Corbelli because that's my husband's name. Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing. Okay. Well, Kass, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been an absolute pleasure.
For me as well. And I hope to meet up with you sometime again soon.
Yeah. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and learn more at humanamplified.com. Go now to claim your free copy of my ebook, What It Means to Be Human, at humanamplified.com/episodes/097.